Brian Hummel here in a business parking lot that looks like just about most of the others. Water coming down the parking lot won't go into the island because it's raised. The water just washes off, meaning this tree doesn't get the water that it needs. However, here in Tallahassee, Florida, when the water rushes down the parking lot and goes into the storm drain, instead of just going directly to the creek, they're doing some green infrastructure from back in the 80s, I think 1986. I'll show you the date here in just a minute. So the water comes out, enters this small dug basin. They've got some nice cypress trees in there. So this water is now being calmed. It's perfectly still in there. It's dropping out a lot of the fines. It's decreasing the turbidity. The roots of this tree are just amazing, going right down there to this free gravity irrigated water resource. That's the little overflow pipe. And so there's some debris on top of it. So earlier today, when it came down, a pretty good rain, this filled up, water went down the pipe and into another one in the series. It also looks like they're using this pervious paver material for the spillways. So if this pond ever does fill up to capacity, when it goes down the spillway, it will not be quite as erosive. And it looks like it's done that a few times because this sidewalk's all sorts of jacked up. So anyway, we're going into the second basin now. This one is allowed to hold a significant amount of water. It can pond to about 4.5 feet deep. So when it's full, I would already be standing in about, oh, I don't know, waist deep water. Earlier today, there was standing water up to here. You can tell because this is where all the leaves and debris are. And leaves and debris, when they're floating and the water recedes, they're in this really intricate pattern. So you can always tell when this stuff was floating. Also, another way to tell is it's sitting on top of vegetation. So that pattern's on top of the grasses that were there just a few feet further up. So basically, water was standing up to here, and then as soon as you start going above that, you start getting vegetation that doesn't have all the leaf litter on it. So I'm trying to figure this system out, and we come to this drain pipe. So I thought this whole thing would fill up and just naturally infiltrate in until the water gets, you know, this high. But I'm hearing water leaking. So let's see if I can get a camera down there. Okay, so there's a pipe right sort of in the middle of your screen. You can see the water coming off. And that water is slowly draining from a pipe in the middle of that that depression. So there's a little inlet pipe right there. It's also covered with a screen. So it might be a 5 or 6 inch pipe. But basically all of that parking lot runoff, when it rains, comes down, and it might be coming down at, I don't know, many gallons a minute, like hundreds of gallons a minute. But when it comes in here and goes into a 5-inch pipe, it might only leave out of here at 100 gallons a minute. There's the date. Looks like 8/20/1987. So, unlike a lot of the places I see in Texas, Florida was way ahead of the game with respect to green infrastructure. However, I still think there's a good way they can come, and I'd like to help any communities in Florida do better green infrastructure so that they can take some of that stormwater liability that would otherwise be a flooding liability without this great green infrastructure and turn it into a free gravity powered irrigation asset for things like cypress trees. So, and I think this is red maple. So I believe that it is possible to take one of the most important resources on earth and turn it into a layer of productivity, a layer of wildlife habitat, a layer of food, or a layer of timber resources, and actually take that water and turn it into money. There's a guy that I like in Missouri, and he says, "I sell water and sunshine." So plants need 4 things to survive and thrive. They need water, they need sunlight, they need carbon dioxide, and they need soil. We've got plenty of sunlight, we've got plenty of I messed that up, sorry. So if I were able to edit, I would edit right here. Plants need 4 things to survive and thrive. They need sunlight, water, soil, and carbon dioxide. There's plenty of carbon dioxide, there's plenty of sunlight. So the 2 things that plants need to survive and thrive really are the quality of the soil and the quality of and the timing of the water. And so doing things like this green infrastructure can really unlock the growth potential of your plants, can unlock the growth potential of your forestry resources or your orchard resources. You know, what if this was a long skinny berm like you've seen me described before, covered in, you know, pecan trees, nut trees, hazelnut trees, I mean, you name it, but something that produces a profit and a yield, so you can get multiple yields, including mitigating flooding, mitigating drought, increasing groundwater recharge, and by doing so you help protect all these beautiful springs in Florida and potentially help slow, stop, or even reverse saltwater intrusion that is about to be a multi-billion-dollar problem throughout the world and in Florida as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry this video went a little bit long. Bye.